The Bureau of Vital Statistics, using that data, it's estimated that anywhere between 280 and 410,000 kids are born with a man thinking he is the biological father, but he is in fact not the father. Should paternity tests be mandatory upon birth of a child? In short, my opinion is no, but there's definitely some very, very valid arguments to mandatory paternity testing. So let's talk about the statistics around paternity fraud. So number one is the Bureau of Vital Statistics, using that data, it's estimated that anywhere between 280 and 410,000 kids are born with a man thinking he is the biological father, but he is in fact not the father. In many of these instances, these kids, these paternity situations go undiscovered for years. There's examples of needing blood transfusions or organ transplants or different medical events where an adult child finds out the man he believed to be his father is in fact not his or her biological father. So how do you become the presumed father in the state of California? Well, it's one of three ways that you become that presumed father. Number one is you're married. If you are married at the time of birth of the child, the state in California presumes that you are the father. We've had situations where a divorce is ongoing. The woman gets pregnant by another man, but because she is still married, it is presumed to be her soon-to-be ex-husband's child. So marriage, that used to be the number one. Number two is actually coming close to passing that, and that is with the voluntary declaration of paternity. So the voluntary declaration of paternity is the document you can sign at the hospital that tells the state that you believe you are the child's father. So this is how you get on the birth certificate if you are not married, is you sign the VDOP, the voluntary declaration of paternity. Number three is what we're all thinking about, and that is the blood test. Blood tests almost exclusively happen or are administered at the state level. Actually, statutorily, the state of California, statutorily, a court can order a blood test to find the presumed father. This can happen in child support instances. This could happen in paternity actions in family court. There's a couple different avenues that can be done. And obviously there are people who go do this on their own. Crazy statistic about that subset of the population that finds out via blood test. So some studies show as many as 40% of the instances where blood tests are used, the man who is presumed to be the father is in fact not the father. 40% of the time, 2 out of every 5 men who do blood tests are found to not be the father. And to pile on top of that, we talked about earlier that many of these men find out when a kid is 6, 8, 16, or even into adulthood. They find out that the child is not biologically theirs. In the state of California, when you hold yourself out as the father, you only have 2 years to contest paternity. So if a child is born, you sign the voluntary declaration of paternity, and at the age of 3 or 4, you find out that that child is not in fact yours biologically, statutorily, the state can keep you on as the presumed father, and you can end up having to pay child support for 15 more years for a child that you know is not biologically yours. So this is a big issue. There's a lot of legislation going on around it. There's a lot of people pushing some great legislation that does provide protections for fathers. I ultimately don't think forcing people to do a blood test, that just doesn't align with me. I don't think I would want mandatory paternity tests, but I would advise any father who is expecting a child, whether married or not, that a blood test, a paternity test, may be a good idea. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on mandatory paternity tests.